What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my DraftKings MMA picks for UFC 265. We have Cyril Gane going against Derek Lewis, a very good pay-per-view card with a very solid main event. And Derek Lewis, you got the fan favorite, and you got Cyril Gane, who's been on an absolute roll, undefeated, and going for the interim championship here. So looking forward to the fight, looking forward to the card as a whole. Before we get started, if you guys can leave a like on the video, also subscribe to the channel if you have not yet, so do not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. I will be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for my live stream after the weigh-ins, and then I'll also be going live on Saturday 1 hour prior to when the prelims start. A big announcement to make if you guys do like DraftKings and DFS, and that's probably why you're here. Me, Uncle Weezy, Z's MMA, and Luke from Sparring with Reality are all doing a brand new DFS show on Pub Sports Radio going live every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I'll put the link in the description for that video. Go check it out. It's going to be a very good show. Looking forward to doing that. And yeah, it should be fun. Should be a lot of fun and should be a lot of good information as well. And of course, it is a pay-per-view, so that means we're doing the DraftKings contest. $25 to first place. To enter that, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe if you are not subscribed already. And then third, comment down your DraftKings username. I can get up to 200 people in there. Usually, it doesn't even get really close to filled. So feel free to comment down your username and all that good stuff. So hopefully, we have 13 fights. I'm hoping these fights stay on the card. Last week, I made a video early. I like getting my content out early. There's like 15 fights at the time. When it was all said and done, there's like 10 fights, almost 9. So I'm hoping that all these fights do stay on the card and we do not lose any. But, nowadays, it seems like we do lose at least one a week. So we'll see what happens, though. All right, so we'll get into it. Excuse me. Starting with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. We have Alonzo Menifield going against Ed Herman, minus 240. Fight doesn't go to decision. So I guess something important to note is going to be that Alonzo Menifield has 9 finishes in the first round, and 1 finish came early in the second round. He has never won past that 1.5 round mark. So it's safe to say if Menifield does win, there's a very good chance that it is in that first round. So I'm going to be pretty heavy on him, but he does tend to gas out. He does tend to slow down after that first round. If Ed Herman can survive the early storm, Ed Herman's definitely live here. So this is a fight I definitely do want to target on both sides. I'm more so on the Menifield getting that knockout round 1, but we've seen, Ed Herman able to survive a storm in his last fight against Mike Rodriguez, although he did, technically get finished in that fight. It was called a groin shot. But, he was able to come back and get that late sub against, Mike Rodriguez there. So he can survive the early storm. If he does, probably makes for a good play at 7,000. But me personally, I do think Alonzo Menifield gets that first round knockout and knocks out 40-year-old Ed Herman. Next, we have Cyril Gane against Derek Lewis, the main event. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this fight yet because, I do like Gane. I'm probably going to play him in cash. As far as tournaments go, I do think he's going to need a finish here. I'm curious to see if he does implement the wrestling. If he does, I do think he'll hit value. But if it kind of looks like, say the Volkov fight or maybe the Rosenstruck fight where he kind of just sticks on the outside for 5 rounds, I really don't know how much that's going to score. And at 9,400... I'm not sure. Maybe he busts here at very high ownership. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this fight yet. As far as Derek Lewis, he's somebody you're going to have to look to play for sure. I mean, Derek Lewis is somebody that he has a puncher's chance. He's a puncher's chance. He can knock out anybody on any single night. And, he showed that to us last time against Curtis Blades, and I was very confident in Blades. And Lewis went out there and knocked him out. And he has 25 minutes to knock out Gane here. So I think Lewis is definitely a pump play to look for. As far as Gane, I like him. I do like a couple plays a little bit more in terms of like the upside, but he seems like a safe play to me for the most part. He has 5 rounds to work with, potential takedown upside, and Lewis has been finished in all of his UFC losses, so I think that's very important to mention. So there's a good chance that Gane probably does get a finish at some point, and at that point probably does pay off the 9,400. So not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but there's probably a good chance I don't want to say like highly exposed to Gane, but there's going to be a good chance I do have a decent amount of them. But if it is like a boring 25-minute fight, I do have some serious concerns about his score, like it was in the Volkov fight. All right, my bad. Next, we have Jamie Simmons going against Johnny Munoz. This is a fight that I'm really going to want to target. It's the first fight of the night, and I'm very high on Johnny Munoz. I love this guy. I'm a black belt in BJJ, very good wrestler as well, relentless with his wrestling. He shot like 16 takedowns in his UFC debut against Nate Maness, and Jamie Simmons is typically somebody that wants to get the fight down to the mat. I don't think Jamie Simmons has the best striking. He has a lot of finishes, but you take a look at his fights and how he finishes them. He takes his opponents down. Usually it's a ground and pound. Maybe he finds a submission. And is he going to want to take down Johnny Munoz? I do not think so. I do not think so. Johnny Munoz is very good on the mat. I do think he has a very good chance to get a first-round finish as well. So I like Johnny Munoz quite a bit, 9,100. As far as Jamie Simmons, 7,100, maybe I'll have a couple because he is dangerous if he does finish very early. If he does win, it is probably in that first round, but I'm very high on Johnny Munoz this week. All right, this is kind of a surprise to me when I saw this, but we have the fight doesn't go to decision line. The next best is going to be Melissa Gatto going against Victoria Leonardo. And like I said, this kind of surprised me here. I kind of expected to go to decision, but the odds makers are thinking different. The odds makers are thinking that Melissa Gatto probably gets a submission here. So something important to note is Melissa Gatto and Leonardo, both combined, have never lost by decision in 19 fights. Obviously, Melissa Gatto has no losses on her record, but Leonardo has been finished in all 3 of her losses. Gatto, I don't think she's that great. Haven't seen much of her striking. Her takedown defense is terrible, but she's very dangerous on the mat. I can see an armbar from guard potentially. On the flip side, I can see Leonardo winning as a dog at 7,400, getting takedowns, getting control time. If she does stay out of that sub, it probably scores well. So this is actually a fight that I'm somewhat interested in. You have Melissa Gatto, 8,800 submission upside. And then you have Victoria Leonardo, who's very, very live to win this fight. So I'm curious to see what happens here. Melissa Gatto has not fought in 3 years, so you got to assume she's making improvements. She's very, very young, and she's very good on the mat. So submission upside for Gatto, but I think Leonardo is very, very live to win this fight. I think Gatto is sub or bust, and at 7,400, I think that makes for Leonardo as a pretty solid play. But yeah, both sides for me here, and I think this fight will be pretty low owned as a whole, which makes me even more intrigued. All right, getting into the core plays here, Cyril Gahn. Like I said, I think he's a fine cash play. I think in tournaments, I think he's fine as well. I do have some concerns about the ceiling, but he's a safe play. I'm going to have a decent amount of them. Derek Lewis, like I said, has been finishing all of his UFC losses. I do like that. Gahn's not somebody that's going to go out there and really, try to get that finish. He's not like a murderous power puncher. He kind of lets the finish come to him, and it could happen for sure. I also like the ability for him to go and get takedowns. Derek Lewis has a pretty horrible takedown defense, and guys seem to exploit that quite often. I think Cyril Gahn, if he does choose to go that route, can do so. And at that point, the points probably do add up. He has 5 rounds to work with. I think Cyril Gahn's a fine play. I'm not in love with the price tag of 9,400, but say it does go 5 rounds. Say he does mix in some takedowns, some control time. It probably does score decent. He probably does hit that price tag. So I don't think he has like a crazy ceiling, but I do think he's a pretty safe play outside of Derek Lewis landing that big shot, which he very well can. But I do think Gahn does get it done. He's going to be a core play of mine. Michael Chiesa, 7,700. I like Chiesa quite a bit, and I like this fight to target, quite a bit. Michael Chiesa, since coming up to 170, has looked absolutely dominant. Vicente Luque has a 65% takedown defense. He can be taken down. He can be controlled. And if Michael Chiesa wins this fight at 7,700, he's going to be on the optimal lineup. That means he's going to be getting takedowns, a ton of them, and a ton of control time as well. I think Michael Chiesa has a huge, huge upside as long as he does not either A, get knocked out against Luque, which it could definitely happen, or B, get submitted against Luque. As long as he does not get finished, I think he puts up a huge score here. So I do like this fight to target as a whole. This is probably my favorite fight to target because it's either Luque getting a knockout, getting a sub, or it's Michael Chiesa grinding a 3-round decision and racking up a ton of takedowns and a ton of control time as well. So I like Chiesa. He's going to be a core play, and he is my favorite dog on the entire slate. Casey Kenny, 8,200. Yeah, I like Kenny here. I like the fact that he's able to mix in takedowns. Song Yadong, not the best takedown defense in the world. With that said, he has a very good get-up game, so that might mean even more takedowns from Casey Kenny. I think the striking is very close, very competitive. You have the volume for Kenny. You have the power of Song Yadong. Casey Kenny has never been finished in his entire career. I like that quite a bit. 20 fights. Casey Kenny's never been knocked out. He's never been submitted. This probably does go to decision. I do like the takedown upside of Kenny, the grappling upside of Kenny, and also the volume. And if he does win this fight, I think the takedowns, the control, the volume is all going to add up. And I think he can put up a pretty solid score. So I do like Casey Kenny in this fight. And I do like Casey Kenny at $8,200 on DraftKings. And then Johnny Munoz, honestly, probably my favorite play on the entire slate. It's the first fight of the night. I like this guy quite a bit. I think he's better than Jamie Simmons in every aspect of MMA. This guy's grappling is phenomenal. Black belt in BJJ. Jamie Simmons is a blue belt in BJJ. And I think if Simmons takes down Munoz, I think he'll be in trouble. If Simmons gets taken down by Munoz, I think he'll be in trouble as well. Munoz is very, very slick off of his back. Very great on top as well. And I think he can definitely find that finish. Jamie Simmons has been finished in all 3 of his losses. 2 by knockout, 1 by submission, and Johnny Munoz has an 80% finish rate. So yeah, I think there's a very, very good chance that Johnny Munoz wins this fight, and I think there's a very good chance that he makes it look dominant in the first round as well. So I do like Johnny Munoz quite a bit, and he is personally my favorite play of the week. Getting into our GPP plays here, our tournament plays, we have Alonzo Menafield, 9,200. Like I mentioned earlier, if he wins, there's a very good chance it's in round 1. He only has 1 win outside of the first round and was very early second. So he kind of has a floor of like a first round knockout, but if he's not able to get that, at that point, he's probably going to bust. But this is somebody you got to target. I mean, if he wins, he's going to score very well. He has that first-round knockout upside, like I said. Tons of power in this guy. Ed Herman, he has a terrible, like 43% striking defense. And you do not want to be hittable against Alonzo Menafield. He's very strong, very good takedown defense, very athletic as well. And he's going to have multiple opportunities to hurt Ed Herman very bad and put him out here. So I do like Alonzo Menafield quite a bit. 9,200 as a tournament upside play. Probably will not go there in cash, but for tournaments, I do like it quite a bit. Vicente Luque, 8,500. I like this play as well. I think Luque, if he does win, it's going to be by a finish. I do not see him winning a decision whatsoever. Michael Chiesa has been finished in all 4 of his losses, 3 coming by submission, 1 coming by knockout. Obviously, Vicente Luque is very dangerous anywhere the fight goes, so I do think he's live for a sub. I do think where that fight's going to play out the most is going to be on the mat, so a sub is definitely on play. But if it's at range for any period of time, he's going to be extremely live for a knockout. So as a whole, this is a fight that I love. I think if Chiesa wins, he scores a ton, and I think same thing. If Luque wins, I think it scores a ton as well. I think if he wins, it's by knockout or by submission. So I like Luque quite a bit as a tournament upside play. As far as Draco Rodriguez goes, 8,400 going against Vince Morales. Yeah, I think this fight is pretty important to target. You have Draco Rodriguez, who is going to want to get the fight down to the mat, has finished 57% of his wins by submission, an 86% finish rate overall. And Vince Morales has a 78% finish rate, finishing 56% of his fights by knockout. Morales has been submitted 2 times, been knocked out once, and Draco Rodriguez has been knocked out in both of his fights. I can very well see a finish here, whether it's Draco Rodriguez getting the fight down to the mat. Morales has shown pretty poor takedown defense and finding a submission, or Morales is able to stuff the takedowns, able to work his way back up, and at range, I think he's going to have a lot of success and possibly get a knockout here. So kind of a striker versus grappler here. If Rodriguez wins, that means he's going to be getting takedowns, control time, and probably a submission as well. But if Vince Morales wins, it's going to probably be a knockout. So a fight I definitely do like targeting. A fight that I kind of think is going to go under the radar as well, and I do like it quite a bit. Manel Kape, 9,000. I think this guy's going to be very low owned. He is very, very dangerous. People are going to take a look at his last 2 fights and see that, first of all, he's lost, and second of all, he hasn't really scored well. But you got to take a look at who he's fighting. Mateus Nicolau and also Alexander Pantoja. This is a big step down in competition, going to, from those guys to Ode Osborne, who, got submitted by gatekeeper Brian Kelleher, who, just knocked out Jerome Rivera. And it's going to be a big step in competition for Ode Osborne here. So Manel Kape, he has a 93% finish rate. I believe he has like 1 win by decision, if maybe 2 wins by decision, but this guy's very dangerous. For a flyweight, this guy hits like an absolute truck, has a very good ground game as well, and I think he's going to have the speed advantage, the power advantage also. And Osborne, he's not terrible. Osborne's really good off his back, but he can be taken down at will. Osborne has literally no takedown defense, mostly because he's confident off his back, and rightfully so. He has multiple wins off his back there, so I think Osborne's live himself. We'll talk about that more, but as far as Kape goes, I think he's going to be low owned. I think if he wins, it's going to be a finish. And a fun fact, Ode Osborne is cutting down to 125. His last fight was at 145, and this will actually be Ode Osborne's first fight ever between amateur and a pro at 125. So very interesting to note there. And also, Ode Osborne, I don't think has been out of the first round in like 7 or 8 fights. So there's a very good chance that this fight does finish, and there's a very good chance that this fight does finish early as well. So, but yeah, Manel Kape, I do like him as a probably low-owned play here. Melissa Gatto, oh my goodness, 8,800. It's ugly for sure, but, she's a finisher. She's very dangerous on the mat. Victoria Leonardo has never lost by submission. 3 finished losses for Leonardo, 1 coming by submission. If this fight does hit the mat, she's going to be extremely live for a sub. Basically, in all her fights, she gets taken down right away. She gets dominated up until she finds a sub. So I think like an armbar from guard is very live here. And realistically, I can't really see anybody really rostering this fight as a whole. I don't think it'll be that high owned. So As ugly as it is, Melissa Gatto, she does have my interest because she does have some finish upside. Like I mentioned earlier, like minus 140. Fight doesn't go to decision for a women's fight. I mean, so the odds makers definitely think it does finish. And if it does finish, it's going to be Gatto getting that sub there. So I don't hate it whatsoever. Getting into the live dogs, Ode Osborne, 7,200. This guy's dangerous. This guy's very dangerous. 88% finish rate. Manel Kopp has been finished 2 times by submission. And, Ode Osborne's very dangerous off his back. So if Kopp does go for takedowns here, first I think he gets them. But, Osborne will be very live off his back for a submission. And on the feet, he has some good power as well, some really good striking. So maybe he's live for a knockout. Like, this is a guy that in his last 7 or 8 fights, like I said, he hasn't been to that second round. He's getting first round finishes here. So Osborne is definitely an upside play you're going to want to target. Manel Kopp has been dropping the ball as of late. Remind you, it was against a great competition, but still, he has been dropping the ball. So I think Osborne's going to be one of the more popular dogs on the slate. And for a good reason. I think he has a ton of upside. If he does win, there's a really good chance that he does break the slate. All right, next we have Vince Morales, 7,800, going against Draco Rodriguez. Talked about it a little bit earlier. I think he's very live for a knockout. Rodriguez has a horrible striking defense, very hittable, not the best striking in general. Rodriguez is going to want to get down to the mat, and Morales has a good get-up game. When he gets taken down, he's able to pop right back up, and on the feet, I do favor Morales quite a bit. Morales is somebody that finished all of his fights prior to coming into the UFC. He has a 78% finish rate, and Rodriguez has been knocked out in both of his losses, so I think if Morales does win, there's a good chance that it's a knockout, and I think it's a good chance that it scores pretty well, so I do like Vince Morales to win. 7,800 as a live dog as well. Victoria Leonardo, I think she's somebody that's live to win. She's been, much more active than Melissa Gatto. She's fought 11 times since Melissa Gatto has fought last. So Gatto, we have not seen her fight in 3 years. So yes, she could be making improvements, but maybe she has some cage rust. That's been a long time coming off of a PED suspension for Gatto as well. But Leonardo, she's tough. She goes for takedowns if she can get on top here. Rack up takedowns, control time. Like I said, every Gatto fight that I watch, she gets taken down easily and beat up for long periods of time up until she finds a sub. So if Leonardo is able to stay out of submissions, I do think she puts up a solid score as a dog here. But with that said, Gatto's going to be very dangerous on the mat. So this is a fight I actually want to target, as ugly as it is, but I think it's very important for DK. And then Anderson Dos Santos, kind of a value play down here, 7,300, just because of how dangerous he is. I don't necessarily love him to win, but if he does win, it's going to score very well. An 81% finish rate for Anderson Dos Santos. If this fight does hit the mat, whether it's Dos Santos getting a takedown, which I'm leaning towards he probably won't be able to. Miles Johns has a very good takedown defense. Or whether it's Miles Johns going out here and getting a takedown, he's going to be very live for a submission. And on the feet, he has some power. He comes forward, he throws reckless, and he's going to be looking for a finish in this fight. This guy's a finisher. He's kill or be killed. He's an 81% finish rate, 3 losses by knockout, 2 losses by submission, and Miles Johns has been knocked out in his only loss. So yeah, Anderson Dos Santos, just because of how dangerous he is, I'm not really high on the guy. I don't think he's that great. He's 36 years old, but if he does win, I do think it's going to score very, very well. So he's definitely somebody to keep your eye out for. All right, getting into the pump plays here, we have Derek Lewis, 6,800. He's the definition of a pump play. He's the definition of a puncher's chance. This guy can knock out anybody on any given night. He has a ton of power. Gane has not fought anybody like a Derek Lewis. I mean, Derek Lewis is going to have opportunities here to knock out Gane. Personally, I don't think Gane's going to give him many opportunities to find that shot, but it's going to take one mistake, one little slip up, and Derek Lewis can knock out, like I said, anybody. I mean, he's somebody that's going to be losing the entire fight up until he finds that shot. Could he find it here? Maybe. You can't count out Derek Lewis, especially at 6,800 as well. So I'll have some Derek Lewis. I personally think Gane makes it look easy, but I've picked against Derek Lewis before, and I've been wrong many, many times picking against Derek Lewis. This guy always seems to surprise you, no matter what matchup it is, no matter how bad the matchup is for him. He has that X factor, and that's that power. Ed Herman, 7,000. Yeah, he's somebody that goes for takedowns. He has a really good ground game, and although I think he does get knocked out by Menefield in that first round, if he is able to survive that first round, Menefield does slow down quite a bit. He does gas out. Ed Herman then could take over in that second and third and probably find a late finish himself. So Ed Herman, I do think he's very live. I also think he's very live to get knocked down in the first round, but if he is able to survive that first, he is very live to win the fight, 40 years old or not. He has a ton of experience. I think it's like 39 fights compared to Menefield has like 12. So ton more experience, great ground game. But I personally do think he gets knocked out. But hey, if he's able to survive after that first round, he's going to win. More than likely. And my fades, Rafael Fiziev, 9,300. A lot of people are probably going to disagree with this. I think Fiziev is going to be somewhat of a popular play, but I do like, Munoz better. I do like Gahn better. I like other guys better up here. And I think Fiziev, to, really pay off his salary, is going to need a knockout. An early knockout. He's not going to go for takedowns. That's off the table. He's not going to get control time. That's off the table. And I don't think he gets a knockout. Bobby Green has only been knocked out once in the UFC. That was by Dustin Poirier a few years ago. And he's a very durable guy. Bobby Green, he has like 39 fights, and he's only been knocked out 2 times, once in the UFC, and he's been to the decision in his last 8 or 9 fights. So there's a very good chance that this does go to decision. Honestly, I think there's a very good chance that this fight's closer than the line as well. And outside of a Fiziev first round knockout, I don't really see him paying off that price tag. And he very well could knock out Bobby Green, but I'm really leaning towards him not doing it and him winning by a decision. And at that point, with no takedowns, no control time, no knockdowns, is he going to pay off that 9,300 price tag? I am leaning towards no. All right, guys, we did it. That's about it. Just want to remind you guys, it is the first of the month. Now is a great time to become a member of the Patreon and receive full access to my model. You got the advanced stats courtesy of Uncle Weezy. He also does a beautiful matchup template as well. You get my premium projections and ownership projections as well. Access to my lineup optimizer, GPP lineup percentages, my Draftkings article, and access to Discord, and much, much more. Lots of great stuff on there. $10 a month for the DFS. You have the DFS and betting, which is $20. Tons and tons of value there, especially when I added the optimizer there. It definitely pays for itself and more. So check that out. It's in the description below. I'd really appreciate all the support there. And yeah, that's about it. If you guys can leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, comment down your DraftKings names as well. I'll get you guys in the contest. And then check out the new DFS show on Pub Sports Radio. The link is in the description. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys like the concept of that. And we will talk to you very soon. Talk to you guys Friday. Good luck, and let's kill it at UFC 265. See you later.